Well, boys and girls, she's minus 31 out, so we got her stuff. But I see there's a couple little openings here. Well, hello everyone. Let's go back to January of 1969. Okay, no, let's not go that far. We'll just go back to January of 2010. See, Chevelle and I, we were living in the old Scamper at the time. Totally off-grid, out in the bush. There's the old Poolin' Wild thing, my first chainsaw. Anyways, yeah, so I built this little wood stove, and we went and lived in the bush, various different places around Hinton, Alberta, where I was working and stuff. And Chevelle was in 2010. Chevelle pretty much was a veteran at this point. She had done all the running she wanted to do, and she wasn't as eager to run like she was her first couple years. But anyway, she was in great shape. And on this trip, a friend of mine a friend of mine's dad that I knew well had passed away, and so I used to always go up to this little cabin every time somebody would die, and this was kind of like my way of like a memorial to them, like my own little way, because I'm 4,000 kilometers from home, so to go home every time somebody dies, I just couldn't do it. So what I'd do is I'd usually take an old Snowmobile or an old Honda 3-wheeler or something, make like an adventure out of it, and then I'd go sit in this cabin and I'd kind of remember, whoever had passed away and whatnot. And yeah, so anyways, on this trip, I had just put the old AMF 1969 SKI DADDLER. I just put that engine together. I couldn't find rings and stuff for it, so I had to use rings out of a 250 Bravo. We'll save that for another story. But anyways, sit back and enjoy the show there.
Well, here I am at Terrace Sawmill. About 4 o'clock. It's getting dark soon. I'm just heading up to the old cabin up at the end of this road. It's about 9.5 kilometers one way. Chevelle's gonna run the whole way, right, Chevelle? Look for some rabbits. That's what I keep telling her anyway. She doesn't like to run anymore. She's getting old and fat. She's not even 4 years old yet, but anyway, there's the old Daddler. I just set up the points and put a new condenser in it, and oh man, she is tweaked, let me tell you. High performance Makuni carb, kick-ass air filter on it. I got wood under the hood. I've got wood under the trunk here. Trunk lifts up. I got elk steaks in the back. I got potatoes. I'm gonna have a little fire up at the cabin. A little wood stove up there. Somebody put in there. Don't know who that would be. And yeah, the old 1981 Ford F-250. Took her out. She's on propane, this old girl. Actually runs pretty good. But yeah, I got my Jägermeister in there. Don't have any booze or anything, but that'll definitely keep me warm in case it gets cold. Probably about minus 10, minus 12 right now. So yeah, should be a good time. Chevelle, don't eat that stick. Well, first stop, probably went about 3-4 kilometers. As you can see, I got the old crazy carpet under there. That's what I'll be seeing by the end of the day, is that. Yeah, those ski skins, boy, I'll tell you, they make a huge difference. I wouldn't mind. I'm going to widen my skis just a little bit wider. And I'll tell you, I got the hell of a freaking nice ride here. She's all paid for. I'm into her now for about $37. So, just taking a break. I got my points all adjusted nice. I got my belt just running perfect. It's actually working really good today. And I think this is the trapper that has the trap line, probably not really grooming it, but yeah, so, oh, I see you didn't get enough running, eh, Chevelle? Oh yeah, you gotta play stick. Well, you better give it my hand. Hurry up. Up here. There we go. Right in my hand. Right in my hand. Oh, she's not listening. Well, Chevelle, I just don't understand you. Just ran about 6 or 7 kilometers, and all you want to do is play with that stupid stick. Hey, here, well, give it to me. Come on. Right here in my hand. Okay, there we go. Now, well, come on now. Give it. Give it. Is that a face of determination or what? Well, I'm just making the trail a little bit wider here. Still, I just love this old thing, man. It's just kind of cool riding something built in 1969 that was probably never meant to be ridden ever again. But it sure is fun, I'll tell you. For me, anyway. I don't need no $10,000 snowmobile to have a good time. Just the challenge of making this run is good enough. All the improvements like ski skins and crazy carpets. Yeah, tomahawk. That always adds for performance. Oh, beautiful day out here. Well, it's a little socked in, but I like it when it's like this. It's a nice, I don't know. It's a nice feeling when you're drinking Jägermeister and she's all socked in and cold, and you know, when you get to the cabin, you'll be able to start a nice fire and keep warm. Right, Chevelle? Right. Well, I better continue on in this mission. Go for a little bit there, and we finally warmed up. But this is how I hauled my wood up in the old SKI DADDLER under the hood. And my God, this thing's working good now for a 1969 SKI DADDLER.
Pulled the engine out of the Daddler, changed the condenser and adjusted the timing to perfection. Runs so much better now. I aligned the belt too. Took it up to Benson's cabin last night. Never missed a beat all night. I left at 4 p.m. and I got to the cabin about 5:15. Chevelle ran the whole way as usual. I loaded up the Daddler with wood before I left.
Yeah, there's some of the wood I brought, and here's the cabin. Got the fire going already. Just kind of a makeshift chimney. I made this chimney. I don't even think you can see it. There, yeah, you can kind of see it. There's the old chimney.
So yeah, this is an old trapper's cabin that was apparently built in 1949 by a guy named John Benson. And yeah, like it was pretty cold when we came up here. I think by the time we got to the top, it was probably like, you know, minus 15 or minus 16 Celsius. And, you know, we're right up real close to the mountains here. Just behind me in the background is the, you can see the mountains real close by. And so when we showed up there, I don't know why I didn't say it or show it in the video, but maybe because the batteries were so cold and dead, but yeah, the roof wasn't even on the cabin. There was just like, there was two big holes missing there in the one section, and I remember just putting a piece of tin up there to cover it up, and then I had to make that stovepipe. That was the trip that I made the stovepipe just out of the piece of crushed galvanized pail, or I don't know what the heck it was, but there's a whole bunch of garbage there laying around the cabin, as well as a bunch of galvanized sheets for roofing, like roofing tin. They've been sitting there for years, so I just keep throwing them on top of the roof, and then the wind blows them off. And this is a rickety old cabin, but I spent many nights in that cabin though. But up until this point, I hadn't slept in it yet. Okay, so I got the fire going, and I put the camera and the batteries on the stove there for a bit to warm them up, and we continued on here with the recording.
Fire, candle, I brought a couple candles. And we're gonna stoke her up, and then we're gonna go for a little sled ride. And then come back, cook up some elk steaks. Gotta find something to go over this door. Oh man, I love it out here. The Chevelle, 10 kilometers she just ran. Not bad.
When I got to the cabin, I used the roof tin that was there to make a heat shield for the wood stove. Okay, so I guess I actually used the old, that's right, the old chimney pipe. It was flat as a pancake, though. I remember I pounded it all out, and actually that's still the chimney that's on it to this day. It's just, if you've seen it, you just shake your head. She's not up to code. But anyways, so I spent the night in there about 4 years ago. Okay, so I did actually spend a night in there before then. Oh, geez, I've been on so many of these adventures. I'll have to remember back to when that was. Oh, it was a trike trip. I remember now. Anyway, so I spent the night in there about 4 years ago and almost froze in October. The old rundown wood stove didn't produce much heat. I hauled it out of there, and my buddy Travis there had it welded up and repaired for me. I had to make a chimney at the cabin with scraps of old stovepipe that was laying around. Had a fire, and it seems to work okay. I'm sure some idiot will come and wreck the cabin again, because we always used to show up in the cabin and be wrecked. But we found grizzly bear hair in there after, so we know who was wrecking that cabin. Okay.
Well, I just shielded in all the windows, some plastic in them, plastic up the doorway, put some tin in that window. Could easily spend a night in this cabin now. Easily. I don't know, it's probably -10 out. Actually, it's probably a little colder. I'm dressed pretty warm, so it's hard to tell, but man, I'll tell you, this is a cool little cabin. Here she is. The old Daddler. I'm gonna go for a little ride, and when I come back, I'll cook up these elk and deer steaks, these potatoes.
Got a nice fire going, then took a trail that heads over to Skidoo Valley. I couldn't get up the hill just past the creek. Quad sure made a mess of the trail. Luckily, they couldn't make it up the hill, so the rest of the trail should be fine. Went back to the cabin and cooked up some elk steaks and potatoes. Very tasty. It was snowing lightly the whole time, and my tracks were covered from the way up to the cabin. So we finished up our grub there in the cabin, and Chevelle, she had some deer steaks and potatoes and whatnot as well. And so we saddled up there, and we started heading back down. It was snowing pretty good on the way down. It was all downhill to the vehicle there, to the truck. And I had some friends that were that I had let them know that I'd be out there, so you know, if I didn't show up by a certain time, kind of thing, like come looking. So I wanted to get back there so they wouldn't be, you know, sending out the search party type thing. Got to the truck about 8:30 p.m. and Mike and big tall Derek were waiting for me. I told them I was going up there, so they were just making sure I made it back okay. Here's the note they left me. Well, I sure had a lot of fun with the old Daddler there. It was a sled that I had bought with another '69 Arctic Cat, I think it was, and I got them cheap for like $50 or $100 or something like that, and didn't know if it ran or anything, but it turned out it ran and stuff. Had a tilts and carb, and I ended up trying it out stock, and the thing was just brutal, gutless, and I ended up switching it up and putting a Mikuni on it, a 36 mil Mikuni, and I did some clutching. I put a Comet clutch on there, and then did primary and secondary clutch calibrations, and It had a big, huge flywheel because they're basically like an industrial engine. So I took the flywheel off. It was just a really low power, slow revving engine. There's actually a whole story to that particular model. They came from the factory with a, I think it was a 440, but it was like crazy low on power and everybody complained about it. So they actually swapped them out at the dealers, and yeah, it was a real crude looking swap. Mine had like square tubing and stuff there, but anyway, so yeah, I ended up putting quite a few miles on it. It never ever broke down on me once. There was just the one time I had spark, only like intermittent spark on one side, and it ended up being a condenser. I kind of bought a, cheap China condenser. That's all I could really get at the time, and it crapped out. So I just replaced it, and it was good after that. But it was an 18-inch wide track. It throttle stuck on me there once, and that's where you see the picture of me. It looks like I'm curling my lip up. That was the time I chased it across the field. It crashed into the trees. But yeah, it had a few little crashes, but it really floated well. And where the big sleds were getting stuck, they would just trench, dig down. That thing would just float right on top. So anyway, hope you enjoyed the show. There's some pictures at the end of Chevelle there. She's quite the clown. She was always just about on almost all of those snowmobiling trips, unless it was a really fast run, but usually Chevelle would stop for lots of breaks and whatnot. But yeah, she sure put the miles on back in those days. That's probably what kept her alive so long. Anyway, take care and have a happy new year. Over and out.